Seen from the Essex countryside and the setup here at Fight Camp HQ. Wow, what a setup that is. Weeks and weeks of work have gone into this and bringing back all the memories of last year, and we are just a few minutes away from today's weigh-in, and we're joined by Eddie Hearn. Of course, the news yesterday that broke Conor Benn. I mean, I know you've had to deal with a lot over the last year, but that's just one of the calls where you must go, oh.
Yeah, you know, it just takes a little bit of time. You know, you just got to deal with that first 5 or 10 minutes where you just have to ask yourself, will this ever end? You know, why us? Why? And then you have to just get on with it. And, you know, I thought we reacted well. As I said, luckily, week 1 is by far the most stacked card of all. So we replaced that headline with a fantastic World Championship fight. Great co-main event. You know, Yildirim against Cullen goes on to the main broadcast. So we've got a fantastic show. Spoke to Conor this morning, still feels okay. So just looking at August 14th or September the 4th, that fight will be rescheduled shortly and ready to go. I'm sure there'll be loads more problems. Someone might miss the weight today. It'll probably rain tomorrow, but we just take every second as it comes. And
are you know, when you're planning the cards, I know you're saying no easy fights, but are you thinking to yourself a sort of a contingency plan? Look, in case someone does test positive, we've got a stacked card anyway.
I'd love to say yes, but no. Basically, and
just winging it.
Yeah, I probably should, but I don't. But it's like you want to make the card as stacked as you can.
Yeah.
In this instance, obviously, with someone like Kanzu that's boxed, you know, headlined in America, you know, boxed around the world, already has a strong identity as a fighter. It works particularly well. But, you know, the problem is in the world we live in today, we're going to get this probably next week. We'll probably get another one. We could get one the week after. Maybe it will never end, but, you know, it's just boxing. But these days more than ever, you know, people say the fight's not on till the two guys are in the ring. But actually, these days more than ever, it really does.
For Granados, I mean, I know he seems to take the news pretty well, and he's been quite philosophical about it. He seems relaxed. If it was to be August the 14th, would it make sense for him to stay in the UK? And has he discussed that?
He's going back today. He basically said, look, I mean, for me, August 14th is quite close. You know, I mean, you talk about Conor Benn has to isolate, right? So he's really going to be out at the gym next week. He could train at home and stuff like that, but you know, he's not going to be able. He wouldn't have sparred really for probably 10 days leading up to the fight. Yeah. Conor Benn's initial reaction was, "I'm fighting Saturday, not August 14th. I'm fighting Saturday," and it was a really quite an awkward conversation because you know how aggressive he is. You know, and he sort of said to me, "No, mate, I'm fighting." I said, "You failed a COVID test." Like, no, I don't care. I'm fighting. I said, "Well, you can't. You can't." Yeah. But then it was like, okay, well, I'll fight on August 7th. I said, "Look, you can't." Right, August 14th, and now it's like September the 4th. You know, it is 5 weeks away. So in his mind, he's thinking, I've just done 9 weeks. Now I've got to do this. But after he's calmed down a little bit, after he's realised that, you know, he might feel a little bit rough this weekend and he's got to isolate, it's not that far away. I was thinking about this last night. I feel like it does give a slight edge to Granados in a few different ways. One is he's already been to the UK.
Got a taste for it,
he understood. A lot of people talking about him. He's become a little bit familiar. You know, he does know that Conor Benn has contracted COVID. What kind of effect could that have on him? Not just now, but perhaps, you know, in the weeks of build up ahead. So he's quite comfortable, you know. And I said to him yesterday, I said, if you want, I'll give you an 8-rounder on Saturday. You know, go it. No, he said, no, I'm fighting Conor Benn. I want Conor Benn. Which I was quite surprised about, really. I was talking to Tony Bellew about it. He said, I would have had the 8-rounder and a few quid. You know? But he's like quite focused, you know. He said, look, I'm going to go away. I'm going to, you know, stay in camp. I'm going to work on the improvements. And although he hasn't been face-to-face with Conor Benn, I think he's been sort of studying him a little bit, almost as a person. And I think his confidence is quite high. Obviously, if it goes on August the 14th, tremendous for the Boatsi night as a double-header, massive. But if it lands on September 4th, we've really got a monster around our hands.
What a card.
You know, Warrington Lara, Katie Taylor against Jennifer Hand, Maxie Hughes against Straffon, and Ben Granados. You know, that's a huge card. So, and I said to Conor, if you go on there, you've got 20,000 people at Headingley. So, either way, he's calmed down now, and I think he just accepts the fact there's nothing you can do about it. You know, you just have to accept it and move on and be professional.
And of course, paves the way for an enormous opportunity for Leigh Wood now.
Massive. I mean, if it wasn't big enough, you know, anyway, then now the chance, the platform, everything's on him. And I don't really know. I mean, the 3 fights that really fascinate me about Saturday night is Yildirim against Cullen, which we keep talking about, and I was debating it with Ben Davison as well. Of course, Billum Smith against Tommy McCarthy, and Leigh Wood against Kanzu. I mean, 3, I say 50-50. Leigh Wood is an underdog in that fight, but, you know, 3 ultra-competitive fights. And now, with the plans we have for Anthony Fowler, I'm also a bit nervous about the Rico Muller fight. Not because I don't believe he should win that fight, but having a baby, and we know there's rumours about a big fight in October, and it's just get through it. So, for me, the Leigh Wood fight is a fascinating one, but it comes down to the fact of sometimes you go into deeper levels that, quite frankly, you're not good enough or ready for. And I'm not saying this, in a jokey way, but when you fought Sergio Martinez, it was... But genuinely, because I think it's the right example where you, like us, the team, I know there's always that doubt, but everyone just thought, we can do, and listen, you've done really well in that fight, but it was, at the time, it was just a set, well, not when they called you Baker either, but all in all, you had a mare. But listen, you went on and won the world title, but
cheers, mate.
It wasn't sarcasm, it was a genuine example where and there's loads, by the way, there's loads of examples like that, where we've had a fighter, I mean, people say to us all the time, I'm like, oh, you love sticking your guys in fights they can't win. It's like, but you never know.
But look at Craig Richards with Dimitri Bivol.
Exactly.
It's
all
race. And he was in the fight for big portions of it.
My worry is in a fight like this is the early stages of the fight, because with Kanzu's volume, punching, his effectiveness and his work rate, can you just get overwhelmed too early? It's not a fight where Leigh Wood can just take his time and get into the third and fourth round, because he's a rhythm fighter. Although he's moved to Ben Davison, a lot of his stuff is based on movement and rhythm, and if he's put out of that rhythm early, I think he's going to find it really difficult.
Do you think with Leigh Wood it's a case of stoppage or knockout?
It has to be.
Can he win on points?
I can't see him winning loads of rounds. Ben Davison keeps talking about his punch power, and I've always felt that Leigh Wood can punch, but there's a difference, isn't there, between knocking out Reece Mould for the British title and knocking out Kanzu for the world title, or Zhu Can. Yeah. So it's, for me, I'm not saying he has to get lucky, but he has to find the right opening, right opportunity, and he'll be there. Kanzu will be there.
Or knockdowns to get some rounds.
Yeah, but the opportunity will present itself for Leigh Wood to land clean on Kanzu. He'll be right in front of him. But people talk about Kanzu's volume punching like he's just this machine. He can fire. I mean, he's tactically sound. He's got a great trainer in Pedro Diaz. So it's not just like this guy's going to come marauding in recklessly, but there will be opportunities and openings for Leigh Wood. And I just feel like at fight camp, if something strange and something miraculous is going to happen, this is the arena to make that happen. And I just keep seeing Kanzu come in, and Leigh Wood, just where he does, when he steps back. That could have been a lot worse. Do you know what I mean?
I sort of wish it was, in a way,
Yeah, I know you were. No, you lot looked down and went, I wish he went over.
I wish he'd really lost.
But anyway, that was my example of where he steps back and throws that left hook, like he did against Reece Mould.
Yes.
And those opportunities will present themselves. But on that note, I'm probably going to go now, because that was...
Can I just quickly, going back to Fowler, not giving anything away, so if all goes well and he wins, would there be an announcement?
There's discussions about the Liam Smith fight. It's been all across social media. We're still in discussions. Would that get wrapped up by tomorrow night? We'll have to see. The focus is Rico Muller. For Fowler, he had his son on Monday or something like that. He was up for 3 days with his missus. Then he's come down here making weight. It's not the most ideal of preparations, but I have to say about Anthony Fowler, he's a guy, and Shane McGuigan said, look, he's ready for all these people at domestic level. He wants the Cheeseman fight. He wants the Fitz fight. Now, the Liam Smith fight was never really on the radar or agenda, but as a promoter, you start looking at that and you say, the Battle of Liverpool, we know a little bit of history. Anthony's fought Callum in the amateurs, got a bit of a controversial decision, or so some say, and you just know that any time two Scousers are fighting at it, you've got different parts of the city, you've got people who like him, don't like him, and it's a massive fight. It is a step up for Anthony. And for Liam, he's a bit unlucky, really, because he should have beaten Kurbanov. And he feels like he should be fighting for a world title. But sometimes fights present themselves at the right time. So we'll see if we can get that one across the line. Nice. But for now, it's all eyes on a Rico Muller fight.
Great stuff. Well, you've been called into action. Fighters are ready to weigh in. So we'll hand you over now to our MC for the afternoon, David Diamante.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Matchroom HQ. It is my pleasure to welcome you here to Brentwood, Essex, England, for the official weigh-in for our huge night of fights taking place here this Saturday night, and it's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Betfred, StubHub, Wow Hydrate, and JD Sports, and all the action for the very first time will go out live around the world exclusively on Dazn. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great fight card. We've got 6 fights. We've got 3 title fights and 1 world title. So at this time, without further ado, it's time to go ahead and bring up the fighters so they can face the scale and face each other. Our first fight of the night that we're going to bring up, it will be streamed live on Matchroom's Facebook and YouTube channels. It's a 6-round super lightweight affair. Now making her way to the stage, fighting out of Pensnet, England. Professional record 3-1-2 with 2 knockouts. Please welcome Kirsty Bubba Bovington. And her opponent now making her way to the stage. Saturday night, she'll be making her much anticipated professional debut. This Team GB amateur standout took silver in 2014 at the World Championships and captured gold in 2018 at the Commonwealth Games. She proudly represents her home of Derby, England. Introducing Sandy Ryan. And out of the scales, ladies and gentlemen, Kirsty Bava Bavington. £144 and 3 ounces for Kirsty Bava Bavington. And now to the scales, ladies and gentlemen, for the very first time as a professional, Sandy Ryan. £144 and 7 ounces for Sandy Ryan. Sandy Ryan, Kirsty Bovington, 6 rounds, super lightweights.
Spicy. Ooh. Hey, like that.
Yeah.
Good way to
Don't
kick
you usually
things off.
see it with debutants, do you?
Viewing figures have just spiked, haven't they? No, you don't normally, actually, but I mean, just a little show of fire from Sandy.
Yeah.
She's had to wait a long time
she has.
to turn professional. This one, of course, just if you weren't aware, has been made at a catch weight of £145, which is why you may have seen the girls come in a little bit light there. I think that is because, speaking to Sandy yesterday, she's just trying to play with the weight and see whether 140 is a possibility for her in the future.
Yeah. And both looking really good on the scales. Bavington, we know she's a handful, isn't she? So Sandy's not going to have to go looking for her. It's a very good opponent, I think, for a debut, and one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, pressure fighter, isn't she, Kirsty?
Yeah,
Bavington?
she
She
is.
brings the heat. Be good to watch her against Cheryl Brown. If you haven't seen her already, Cheryl's a 3 or 4 time ABA champion around, I think 63 or 64 kilos, whatever it was before the weights would change. So, you can see the kind of fighter she is then, and Sandy's going to have to be switched on to kind of hold that gap, and she's going to have to box, isn't she?
Yeah, I think with her pedigree, that's the ideal sort of opponent. Somebody who's going to come forward, like I say, you can create angles, you're not going to have to go looking for her. So, yeah, it's a brilliant opponent, a good fight for a debutant.
Well, next up, one fighter off the back of defeat to Canelo Alvarez, the other off the back of a win over John Doherty. 2 unlikely opponents in the ring, but this one is sure to be a cracker. Anthony Yildirim and Jack Cullen are ready to weigh in.
Ladies and Gentlemen, our next contest of the evening is brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing in association with Arena Box Promotions. We're going to be going 10 rounds for the vacant IBF International Super Middleweight Championship. And now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 19 victories, 2 defeats. He has 1 draw and 9 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Little Lever. He's the former English middleweight champion. Please welcome Jack Little Lever's Meat Cleaver Cullen. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, 21 victories, 3 defeats. He has 12 wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Sivas, Turkey, here's the former WBC International Champion and the former World Title Challenger, Avni, Mr. Robot Yildirim. And now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen, Little Lever's Meat Cleaver, Jack Cullen. 163 pounds and 7 ounces for Jack Cullen. And now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robot Avni Yildirim. 163, bang on for Avni Yildirim. 163 pounds for Mr. Robot. Avni Yildirim, Jack Cullen, 10 rounds for the vacant IBF International Super Middleweight Championship.
Well, Darren does the same thing when I try to shake his hand. So
always.
It's fine. Good fight to watch if you want to know stylistically how Yildirim might approach this is the Aaron Pryor Jr. fight. It was 2016, I think it was. Almost a carbon copy, the Hawk son, of the physique and the stature of Jack Cullen. Not as much of a puncher, and he was getting a little bit old by the time they fought. And you can see, though, the way that Yildirim roughed him up and got in his face. He kind of approached it a little bit how Canelo did with Kovalev and with Smith, just kind of tight parries, keeping him sort of stepping onto him, and then when he got up close, he uses the forearms and the elbows a lot. He's a rough customer.
He is.
Cullen's going to have to get his respect early in this fight.
Yeah, I think so. And look, we know from watching Jack the last few times, he likes naturally to get stuck in. He does, and that's why I think this one catches fire quite early. It's a brilliant fight, and speaking to Jack, he's a top man. I'll touch more on this in the comms tomorrow night, but recently lost one of his very, very close friends, so he has this real motivation, desire to succeed and do the business for him.
Okay. Yes, as I said, that one will open the broadcast tomorrow on Dazn, 7 o'clock UK time. Really looking forward to that one. Anthony Fowler, fresh off the back of a really good win over Jorge Forteo at the beginning of the year. He's become a father in the last 10 days or so congratulations to him. Was due to fight Roberto Garcia, but a torn bicep has put paid to that one, and a really good late standing Enrico Muller, who boxed just 3 weeks ago, is in the offings. These two will meet at 154 pounds light middleweight, and both of them are now ready to weigh in.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are set to go with our next contest of the evening, set for 10 rounds at a catch weight of 156 pounds. And now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 28 victories, 3 defeats, 1 draw, and 19 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Ebersweider, Brandenburg, Germany. Here is the former IBO Intercontinental Welterweight Champion, Rico Pretty Boy Muller. And his opponent now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 14 victories, only 1 defeat. He has 11 wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Liverpool, England, here is the reigning WBA International Super Welterweight Champion, Anthony the Machine Fowler. Now to the scale, Rico Muller. $156, bang on for Pretty Boy. $156 for Rico Muller. And now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Machine, Anthony Fowler. £155 and 4 ounces for Anthony Fowler. Anthony Fowler, Rico Muller, 10 rounds, 156-pound catch weight, Saturday night, Matchroom Fight Camp.
Yes, this one at 156. Rico Muller, I think he obviously coming in quite late notice to save the fight. I wouldn't expect him to guarantee to make 154, and he hasn't quite done that, so I don't think the belt is available to him, but I really don't think it's about the belts at this point for Fowler. He needs to look good because he's got big plans over the horizon.
Yes, there's a big fight looming, as Eddie alluded to at the top of the show, but none of that will happen if he doesn't take care of business. And look, he's going to have to look good, and do you know what? I think he will. I think Anthony has looked good. He's so strong, aggressive, powerful, and I think the size will be the difference tomorrow night.
Yeah, the only guys who've really dealt with Muller clinically were Jeremias Ponce, we saw dealt with Lewis Ritson in emphatic fashion just a few weeks ago, and of course Jeff Horn back in 2016. So he's a decent fighter at that level, and he should offer Fowler a solid test, especially at this late notice. Campbell Hatton makes his third appearance as a professional, having been out in Gibraltar, and then once since then he is on the stage ready to weigh in with his opponent Jakub Lazowski. We'll hand you back over to David.
Our next bout, 4 rounds in the lightweight division. Now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 4 wins, 4 defeats, 1 draw, with 2 wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Poland, please welcome Jakub Laskowski. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His young professional record thus far perfect. 2 fights, 2 victories. Fighting out of and proudly representing his home of Manchester, England. Please welcome Campbell, the Hurricane Hatton. Now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen, Jakub Laskowski. £135 and 8 ounces for Jakub Laskowski. And now to the scale, the young undefeated Mancunian Campbell, the Hurricane Hatton. £135 and 9 ounces for Campbell Hatton. Campbell Hatton, Jakub Laskowski, 4 rounds, lightweights, Essex, England.
Yes, so there we go. Campbell Hatton in his 3rd outing. This guy, Jakub Laskowski, again, just a guy to come in and hopefully just develop a little bit more, maybe ask a few questions. Yep. He was asked probably too many questions in his first fight, but he got through that and looked much more composed against Leigh Dazn in the second one.
He did, yeah. Like we said it all the time in the build-up to the last couple. He's a work in progress. He's learning on the job. We've got to be patient. The thing is, once he does get there and we get to a Manchester show where he's on the bill, it's going to be electric. We've just got to be patient with him. There's a lot to work with for Matthew Hatton. He's aggressive. He's got shades of his dad's body work. But yeah, we've just got to be patient with him.
We certainly have. 2 men who we haven't got to be patient with have earned their right to call themselves 2 of the best domestically at cruiserweight are Tommy McCarthy and Chris Billham-Smith. What a chief support this is. The Commonwealth, European and British cruiserweight titles on the line in our chief support on Saturday night, and both guys are standing by ready to weigh in.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to weigh in the chief support for Saturday night, and there's no other way around it. It is a cracking fight. Cannot wait to see it. 12 rounds of boxing scheduled for the British, Commonwealth, and European Cruiserweight Championship. And now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 12 victories, only 1 defeat. He has 10 big wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Bournemouth, England, here is the reigning and defending Commonwealth Cruiserweight Champion, the gentleman, Chris Billham-Smith. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, 18 wins, 2 defeats. He has 9 wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Belfast, Northern Ireland, here is the reigning and defending European Cruiserweight Champion, Tommy "Mac-Attack" McCarthy. And now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen, CBS, the gentleman, Chris Billham-Smith. £199 and 5 ounces for Chris Billham-Smith, 199.5. And now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Mac Attack McCarthy. 199.3, 199 and 3 ounces for Tommy Mac Attack McCarthy. Tommy McCarthy, Chris Billam-Smith, 12 rounds for the British, Commonwealth, and European Cruiserweight Championships.
Billam-Smith's Commonwealth belt, McCarthy's European, and the vacant British title go up in the air on Saturday night. Huge roll of the dice for both men because, well, not only the belts are on offer for the winner, but potentially a shot at the WBA Super Champion, Arsene Goulamirian, as well.
This is a cracker. What we have here is two lads that truly believe in themselves. They truly believe they belong on the next level, and this fight will prove that. You know, whoever wins this will go on to the next stage, hopefully fight for a world title shot. If not next, one after. They desperately, speaking to Tommy McCarthy, the confidence he's got from winning the European title, he believes he should go on to the next level. So I can't wait. This is a pick'em. It's the stylistic Tommy McCarthy, the skillful boxer versus the big punching Chris Billam-Smith. It's a pick'em fight, Chris.
Billam-Smith always carved that stone, but Tommy McCarthy hasn't been in recent years, but that is the best physique we've seen by a long way for him. Credit to his cousin and S&C coach Lloyd Edwards, done a great job.
Well, that was the first thing we said, wasn't it? That's the best Tommy's looked, and he's going to have to be. He's going to have to be in the shape of his life because this is a very tough fight for him. But it's a pick'em. It's a pick'em. No easy fights, Chris.
No easy fights, and the same applies for Leigh Wood. The fight of his life, moved to chief support after Conor Benn contracted COVID-19 in the last 48 hours. He is up against one of the best featherweights in the world, China's Xu Can, who holds the regular version of that WBA belt. Both guys are ready to weigh in. This is our main event tomorrow night. Back to you, David.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome everyone out here to Matchroom headquarters in Brentwood, Essex, England, for the official weigh-in for our huge night of fights on Saturday night. And we've now come time to weigh in the main event of the evening. And it's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing in association with Golden Boy Promotions. We're sponsored by Betfred, StubHub, Wow Hydrate, and JD Sports, and all the action will go out live around the world exclusively on Dazn. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. 12 rounds of boxing scheduled for the WBA Featherweight Championship of the World. And now making his way to the stage, here is the challenger. His professional record, 24 victories against 2 defeats. He has 14 wins coming by way of knockout. He's the former Commonwealth champion and the reigning British featherweight champion, fighting out of Gedling, Nottingham, England, Lethal Leigh Wood. And his opponent now making his way to the stage, the defending world champion. His professional record, 18 victories, 2 defeats. He has 3 wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Beijing, China, please welcome the reigning and defending WBA featherweight champion of the world, Zhu, the Monster Khan. And now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen, the challenger, Lethal Leigh Wood. £125 and 5 ounces for the challenger, Leigh Wood. And now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen, here is the champion, Zhu, the Monster Khan. 125 pounds and 3 ounces. 125 pounds and 3 ounces for Zhu, the Monster Khan. Zhu Khan, Leigh Wood, 12 rounds for the WBA Featherweight Championship of the World. Main event Saturday night, Brentwood, Essex, England.
Slightly disappointed no one shouted, "Come on, Leigh, you can do it." But, you know, missed opportunities and all that.
Yeah, Zhu can do it.
It's normally your fault.
Yeah, I was thinking it. I didn't know what the protocol was. If I should, I should.
Got to stay professional.
Anyway, yeah, you have to.
Can he do it? That's the good question.
This is life changing. This is the opportunity for Leigh Wood to go out there and change his life, make his dreams come true. That first bell goes, he's going to have to, you know, put everything into this contest because Zhu Khan is a serious fighter. He's an absolute monster. He does not stop throwing shots. He's a handful. He's an elite level fighter, and it's an opportunity for Leigh Wood to go out there and prove how good he is.
We've got some very good tactical minds in this camp, Lee Wiley, and of course Ben Davison, who will have picked the holes apart that are there to be picked in Zhu Khan's game. Hasn't been in the ring for nearly 20 months. Last fight against Manny Robles, November 2019. Robles had some success when he was punching with him, and when he does let his hands go, there are gaps there.
Absolutely. He does get caught, Zhu Khan. He is open to shots, the right hand in particular. Look, I think the opportunity for Leigh Wood here will come by stoppage or knockout. I don't think he can outpoint Zhu Khan just because of the volume that he throws, but he's not going to have to go looking for Zhu Khan. And when you're a puncher, you're a big puncher, he's a switch hitter at times. Leigh Wood, he'll be looking for the big shot. He wants someone who's going to be there in front of him, and Zhu Khan will be. It's a cracking fight, Chris. 12 rounds
WBA regular version of the featherweight world title, but more importantly, that pound for pound, well, not pound for pound, but in the Ring Magazine ratings, he's number 3 in the world. This would rocket Leigh Wood's stock to a different place if he were to get the win tomorrow night. A night to change your life for the Nottinghamshire fighter, and a night for Zhu Khan to remind us why he thinks and believes he's one of the best featherweights in the world. That is our main event. We will be here at 6 p.m. UK time for Before the Bell, where Darren and I will be calling the Sandy Ryan Kirsty Babington fight, and then the broadcast starts 7 p.m. UK time on DAZN around the world with Jack Cullen and Avni Yildirim. A cracking night of fights here at Fight Camp. Thanks for your company this afternoon, folks. Have a good Friday night. We will see you on Fight.